Today's guest is none other than Aidan Doyl.
I advise my clients not to go for specific off-plan projects. Most people don't have the integrity to do that.
One of the oldest clients I have, and one of the most successful one. We have made millions using social media.
How the hell can you sell somebody on a product that you don't believe in yourself, or you don't think is worthwhile, or you don't think is value?
And today we're going to talk about what it is to become a community expert, how to become a successful community expert, and how to build your personal brand. Now, this is a very, very informative video, and I definitely recommend you guys watch it all the way to the end. Let's get into it. All right, Aidan.
Cool.
You're a community expert in Arabian Ranches 3.
I am indeed.
The first question I want to ask you is, why did you become a community expert in the first place?
Oh, good question actually.
All right.
So I was new to real estate and I was trying to sell a little bit of everywhere, as everyone does at the start. You're just taking on listings. I think I took on a listing in District 1. I was made up, but I never actually listed it. You know, like when you get your first seller sending you something, it was like 20 million dirham villa in District 1.
Right.
And I was like, this is it. I'm going to sell District 1. I
Okay.
thought I was...
You ever sold it or no?
Don't talk about that. I thought I was in there. So I started studying District 1, going around, and I thought, as a new agent, trying to take on something like that with no experience and no leverage in the market is just crazy. I need to specialize, but if I'm going to try and be a community specialist in District 1, selling higher ticket, it's going to be a lot less frequent, and I'm probably going to lose motivation a lot quicker.
Did somebody give you the idea of becoming a community expert in the first place?
Yeah, they push it in real estate companies to be focused in one area, because you get put in that area, that chosen area for you to work in.
Right.
So anyway, long story short, one of the team leaders of my group in the villa communities, he sold ranches too. Okay. Now he was pretty much who I am today, but in ranches too.
Okay.
So he did from the off-plan to the ready market.
Yeah.
The off-plan resale, as Ranches 2 was handing over, he took maybe 70% of the market.
Sweet.
Yeah. So I was like, well, I can do the exact same thing. Yeah. He's my team leader. I've got somebody to ask questions to.
Yeah.
So he showed me how payment plans work, because obviously that's quite confusing for a lot of people at the start. Off-plan resale, when someone exits the property at only 70% paid.
Yeah.
How much they paid, what the OP is different, what a premium is, what they actually get on handover, what the buyer has to pay to the developer. A lot of people don't understand this, but it's definitely something I picked up quite quickly, and he was quite impressed, so I was like, let's run with it. Picked up my first listing in Ranches 3, which was in Sun. It was a 4-bedroom townhouse for 2.7. At the time, 2.7 was way above the market.
How did you get that listing first?
I know, yeah. I'm just ranting on here
about
the go on. So
no,
how did I get the listing? Cold call.
Okay, so at the beginning, it's the way that everybody does it.
Cold call, took a few calls with this client to, especially trying to find my pitch as well, you know what I mean? I've got experience in the UK market, but just trying to find my pitch, my way of doing things.
Yeah.
Managed to pick up that listing at 2.7. Ironically enough, that unit right now, that buyer that I sold it to, that was such a stressful close as well. Honestly, because it was about 150k over last sold. Last sold was 2.55, and then someone sold one at 2.6 as we were going through the transfer, and I was like, look, you will get 2.7 eventually, but this is a prime location. The reason you're paying this is because of X, Y, and Z, single row, corner, all of that. He ended up taking the unit, trusted me, got it closed. Right now, he's probably sat on about 4.3, I'd say.
It's a hefty nice.
That's
How many
1.6 mil since first sale, 3 years.
3 years. All right, sweet. So then we'll get into this. What makes a community expert?
Go on. A little bit of show and tell now, yeah?
Yep. What are the pillars? How do I become a community expert? How does a person watching become a community expert? Is it possible to do it in a month? Or is it a time game?
Community expert. Okay. So if you want to be a community expert, you got to know your product. Okay. That's the first thing, yeah?
Product knowledge. How many people actually don't know the product knowledge and they claim themselves as community experts?
A lot. Fair. Product knowledge. So what does that actually entail? So that's knowing the square footage of every unit, yeah? Yeah. And when I say square footage of every unit, I mean 3 beds, 4 beds in Ruba. All the different types of 3 beds in Bliss. So let's look at Bliss, for example. So you got Ivory, yeah? You got Ivory 3 beds. You got Amber 3 beds. Mm-hmm. Out of Ivory and Amber, you got Skylight. You got non-Skylight, yeah? Each of them, yeah? And then you've got, out of the 3 beds, Ambers and Ivories, you've got, I didn't mean to do that. You've got, here you've got end, middle, and here you got end and middle as well.
What does that end and middle signify?
So, I don't know what this is. Pass me your rubber. Don't know what this little thing is here. But then I just wanted to do the same for a 4-bed here.
Yeah.
So like here's your 3-bedroom and here's your 4-bedroom. So like that all leads into Bliss. Now that's just one cluster in the whole of Ranches 3. Okay, right. So then off that you've got what type 1, type 2, and then you've got end middle. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 types of units.
Right.
Yeah.
In just one cluster.
Each one could have like a difference of like 100 square foot or something, or a different layout, or a different room size, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you're actually speaking to clients on viewings, if you're actually pointing out like, well, actually look, Mr. Seller or Mr. Buyer, if you're going to buy an end unit that's skylight, it's going to be priced at X. But if you go for the middle unit, it's going to be priced at Y. Yeah. Why is it priced at this? Well, that's because of ABC.
Yeah.
You get
and
me?
Here meaning at the end of the road. Or
sorry,
that the unit is at the end of the road, or
end just means like, so you got, let's do a row of townhouses. Yeah,
so it means pretty much this
Guess
one
where
and
the
that
end
one.
is.
And these are the middle ones. Okay, yeah. Quite self-explanatory. Okay,
end, middle.
All right.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Now you can have 4-bed end. You can have 3, 4, 3. Like that's a 3 end, 3 middle, 4 end.
Yeah. So product knowledge.
Oh, and then you also got duplex. What is that? 4 beds. You got duplex.
Yeah.
And you got triplex. Now let's not make this into a Ranches 3 podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
so product knowledge.
You get my point. Okay, give me a wiper.
All right. So after product knowledge, what else is there?
Don't remember putting the lid on. Product knowledge. Okay. Now I would say track record, but that's, if you're becoming a community expert, that's gonna be hard, right?
Yeah.
Track record. You need to understand let's look at master plan, okay?
But that's still product knowledge.
Is it though? Because when I say product knowledge, I'm talking about square footage of units, types of units. I'm talking about 3, 4 beds, 5 beds. I'm talking about prices. When I say master plan, I'm talking about amenities and infrastructure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Okay. So we're
We'll
talking.
take that.
So that's like, okay, what are the RTA doing? Okay. What roads have been approved? Yeah. In the community.
Yeah.
What have not been approved? Yeah. Souk. Yeah. School. What school is it? Sort of thing. Like when are they coming? When are they handing over? Stuff like that. Yeah.
And then you actually need to start getting listings in.
Well, yeah, but to have your knowledge is definitely the first point of, you know what I mean? Like, I could say like, okay, you need confidence, you need to be good at cold calls, you need to know how to work with an investor, but granted, that's not just to be a community expert, that's for every single aspect of the sale, right? So that's not just the community. To be the community expert, it's more just about the knowledge and the track record in the community. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like actually having sales in the community, starting from somewhere, like you don't have to know everything to get your first few sales, so let's put track record on there anyway.
Yeah, and obviously
track record / leverage. Yeah. Now, what I mean by leverage is not just your own track record, but leveraging somebody else's track record. So if you're new, this is what I used to do. If you're new in the business, right? You got your team leader, right? If you move into Ranches community, say the team leader's me, and you come into my team, you could be like, by the way, I'm working in Aidan's team, for example, Aidan sold X amount of units in the community, and I'm working on his stock, or I've actually got a buyer of Aidan's who I'm working on right now, who's looking for X, Y, Z, or I've got a seller who's working with Aidan, who's looking at X. So you're leveraging somebody who's already well known in the community to the clients, using their name.
Until you build your own.
Exactly, but that doesn't mean you have the right to go and use my name if you're not working in my team. You know what I mean? Like, you need a disclaimer. Do you know what I mean? Like, as a disclaimer, But if you've got somebody who's well experienced, got a track record, use their track record in the community to leverage that. A good word is we. So instead of saying I sold or he sold, we sold.
Okay, as a team.
As a team.
Okay, got it. All right, well, let me ask you this. My question is going to be, how many people start social media without product knowledge? How many guys go
You
in
probably
there?
are better than answering this than me, but I know it can be. It can be ridiculous.
It'll be actually extremely funny because, so this is what I always say, I'm a translator.
Yeah.
Okay. I translate. If a Chinese person came in, and he's a translator, and he's translating from the Chinese president to Trump, he's translating Chinese to English. Yeah. He didn't invent Chinese.
That's a crazy analogy. Okay.
Right. So this is the thing. Chinese was already there. The Chinese president knows how to speak Chinese. Yeah. The guy just came in, took that, and translated it into something that the American president can understand.
Yeah. Okay.
That is my job.
Okay.
And that's what anybody in social media would come in and do. They would take your product knowledge, something that does not fit social media, translate it into content.
Yeah.
Right? Now, a lot of people come in and they think that I, or whoever is handling social media, should have the product knowledge, and they shouldn't. Why am I doing it for you then?
That is crazy.
Right? Then at that point, why don't I just go make videos for myself? Right?
Yeah, would you just be a real estate agent yourself?
Exactly. So, from your personal experience of working with agents.
Also, that's all irrelevant, and the reason I say that is because even if you were the one given the knowledge, what happens when they get the lead?
Yeah.
And then they call the lead?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Exactly. They can't do anything.
They don't know.
They
can't just call Tammy. Let me get one of them. Third party call.
But how many agents do you work with that, or have you seen reach out to you that come in with buyers or whatever, and they have no clue about anything on anything?
Oh yeah, I mean now I'm definitely in a position to just turn people away. You know, like I had a call just then before we started this podcast. Yeah. To be honest, she seemed like she knew what she was talking about. I was just a bit busy. It's just the fact of if they call me up and they're like, hello, how are you? Look, got a buyer looking for a 4-bed townhouse in Dubai land, for example, in that area. Straight away I say no, because it's not specific enough. Yeah. If they got a buyer looking for Arabian Ranches 3, okay, we're getting closer. We're about an Arabian Ranches 3. I don't know, just want a 4-bed. No, don't work with agents, sorry. If they say, oh, we want a 4-bed in Bliss, okay, cool. Have they viewed before? Yeah. No, they've not viewed me before. No, sorry, don't work with agents. Do you see where I'm going with this, right? So it's like, if they've got a client who's, okay, Aidan, they've viewed a 4-bed type Bliss, they've viewed the 3-bed as well, they know that they're more lenient towards the 4. They've got a budget of 2 million. Oh, sorry, can't work with agents. Do you know what I mean? It's just, you've got to hit all of the right things for me to actually be like, okay. Because so what I see is if I'm going to give halfway my commission away, they've got to work for that half of that commission. Yeah. I'm not just going to give someone a half of my commission. I'm not going to do 90% of the work, and they, you know what I mean? They want me to show up to the viewing. They're going to bring the client. I'm going to do all the talking because I've got the knowledge. You know what I mean? They're just going to stand there and just be like, wait.
I'll ask you this. Your life before social media. Yeah. Or your personal brand, and then your life after. All right. Talk to me about what you used to do before social media. How you used to get your listings, your deals, all of that. Were you working with anybody, anything? What were you doing? And then how it all changed after social media.
It's hard to remember life before social media now, which is crazy. Really is hard. When was it when we started working? January 2020? Yeah, it's about a year and a half. About a year and a half. Yeah. Funny how I started social media because Gino, director of Strada, he was doing TikTok, wasn't he? And he started doing quite well on TikTok. Yeah. On Instagram also, but then he brought somebody in to like do a bit of training, and Strada was very much like, we all want you to build personal brands, you know, this is the price, like, and I was thinking, oh, it's a bit expensive at the time, you know what I mean, all of that. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna run with it. And I was like one of the only people in the office. So can you imagine, like 30 people went into this meeting
and only one came out with social media,
and like I'm the only one who's got a very good personal brand with like over 10,000 followers at least. Like some people have got like 5k or building it slowly. But it's not even. But they all started. They all started later. Than I did. They only started because they saw what I did. Yeah.
And again, it's not about followers. Again, you sell out a property within a couple of hours by just putting up a story.
Yeah, true.
Right, which is absolutely insane. And I tell you, the biggest reason of that, which everybody just fails to understand, is the fact that you rarely do it. This is why it happens. Yeah. If you were coming up every single day, buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that.
Yeah, that's where agents go wrong.
Every single one of them.
Nobody wants to follow somebody who's pitching every single project in the market.
Exactly.
I mean, I was on a call with a client before. I advise my clients not to go for specific off-plan projects. Yeah. Most people don't have the integrity to do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. They just want to sell and get a commission. Yeah. I'd much rather advise against it, which builds trust for when I say go for it. You know what I mean? Like when you've told somebody no in the past, when you say it's like, must be.
How about the idea of...
Anyway, going back to this.
Yeah, the idea of I make videos, I go to sleep, I wake up with money in my pocket.
I make videos, I go to sleep, I wake up with money in my pocket.
Because that's what a lot of agents think.
Yeah, that's funny.
Right, because obviously I've helped you do a part in social media and build your personal brand, but how many other things did you go outside and do yourself?
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Like it's crazy how for like my friends start on social media now. Yeah. And I've been pushing him to do it for a while. One of my best friends, he's like, I just need to run with it. He's just not prioritized it. He's put it on the back burner for so long. And I always prioritize like content and making sure I'm consistent with it and stuff like that. So yeah, look, in terms of like putting stuff on social media now, it's definitely helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Like significantly. I would say 90% of my deals are done through social media.
Yeah.
Like I can say that so confidently. And it's not always about the direct lead. So if I get a lead, I think you were saying this I was just watching your video. And if you get a lead from Property Finder and you get a lead from Instagram, or, somebody has to watch you for a good 6 months before they probably reach out for them to be a good quality lead, right? Somebody who's got some wealth behind them, who, actually thinks, I'll buy into this person. They're quite, so imagine this is why I went on to speaking about my mate now. Okay, 2 points. Firstly is time in the market. So when I say time in the market, it's more so about how long you've been doing social media. So just being consistent. And you might not get a lead the first month, you might not get a lead the second month. It took me about 6, 7, 8 months before I started getting quality leads. I was getting leads, but they weren't quality leads. That's the difference. So your first leads are always going to be the least quality leads, right? Yeah. So people might get disheartened by that. The longer I've been doing it, the more people trust me, the more people have been watching me. I had a client reach out to me. I'll get this. I had a client reach out to me with, I can't say much because I've had to sign an NDA, but he's got a very, very wealthy portfolio. Okay. Consists of a few villas on the Palm, a few off-plan projects that they're looking to exit. And I've managed to gain exclusivity on some of them. But he followed me since I had 1,000 followers. 13,000 followers now. Yeah. And he only just reaches out.
Can I ask you something? I'll be very direct. I right now charge about 35,000 dirhams a quarter, which is around 12,000 dirhams a month. All right. Based on the numbers you're making today on a yearly basis. So let's just take 35 multiplied by 4, which is 140 grand. Yeah. All right. How much would you say you make in a year's time now from social media? Almost?
Now, I mean, what I've already, if I'm saying 90% of my income is from social media, I've built 1.7 mil this year in May. So you times that by 2.
Let's say 3 mil to be conservative.
And I'd say 90% of that, so give it 2.5 at least.
2.5. So
that's less than 90%.
Yeah,
I'm
so
being conservative,
say,
2.5.
You know what? Let's even go 2 million. All right, minus your 140k investment. If that was a property, every investor on the planet would be jumping on it. Yet everybody's just too close-minded.
Yeah, but
they think it's the same concept.
Right? So like, if going back to a few diagrams, like if we were at how much 140k? Okay, so 140k. Yeah. In your first year of social media, will feel like this, then like this, then a little bit like this, then like this, maybe, and then plateau. Do you know what I mean? Like you'll do a few deals from social media. This will be your first 6 months. Yeah. This will be like 8 months, 9 months. And then like 12 months in, you'll see, okay, do you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. And then it'll be like,
it'll just be a
do you know what I mean? So the first 140k here might feel like you're actually losing money, and you're pumping this 140k into the business. Yeah. Yet you're only making here like 20k. I don't know, on small deals, not high value clients, you know what I mean? And then here you make 50k, and then here you make 100k. You know
and then it keeps growing.
And then you just, before you know it, you're doing millions of dirham from social media. But that is like that time span from here to here is probably
a solid year,
18 months.
Yeah,
for you to get to the million dirham a year sort of level from social media.
You know, the funny thing is
people have to buy into you as well. Because somebody who could do 18 months of social media and I could do 18 months of social media, and one of you is gonna do a lot better than the other. Yeah, so it depends how you come across as a person.
But I'll tell you the funny thing. This graph is the same graph agents sell to clients when it comes to off-plan properties. Yeah. All right. It's just even worse than this, because they're telling them, you're going to keep paying, 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 and maybe you'll flip and make a bunch here. Yeah. Or maybe you'll wait until handover where you're going to keep paying, and then you're going to start. So they're selling that to clients, expecting the clients to believe them, but they don't believe it themselves when it comes to something that will help them.
Again, it comes down to integrity.
Right.
It's all about integrity. Like, and I stand by this so much. I'm now offering coaching. Yeah. As you know, I'm starting a coaching platform.
Little plug, hit him up.
I am offering coaching, so we'll drop the link in the description below. Yeah.
If it's ready.
If it's ready by then. But I would never offer somebody coaching if I didn't have a coach. Yeah. There's no integrity in that. So I pay tens of thousands of pounds worth of coaching. Yeah. Every year. for me to be able to have the integrity to say, I can coach somebody. How the hell can you sell somebody on a product that you don't believe in yourself, or you don't think is worthwhile, or you don't think is value?
It shows on video as well, right? It shows a lot on video.
Does indeed.
Because then you're just like, oh, it's just too salesy. And that comes to the type of content. Which type of content do you see yourself from the interactions you have that performs the best? Is it any certain specific type of content where, hey, people always refer to something every single time? They go like, oh, I watched that specific video, I watched this type of content.
That's true, actually.
Which one?
That is very true. So like the speed tours, people always recognize me for that.
Yeah.
And I know there's a guy in America doing speed tours,
but
like,
which we got the idea from.
You know, me in Dubai being that idiot running around in 40-degree heat with a shirt that's soaking wet.
Yeah,
that's me. People always refer to me for that. People always refer to me for Ranches 3, but there's no specific video that people refer to me.
That's a long-term brand image.
It's a long-term brand image. And like you were saying, there's locations are key, aren't they? So car, branches, and office. You know what I mean?
Doing that all the time.
So the videos that do well though, like, have to come with a bit of negative hate, right? And people have got to get over themselves. Like, I don't know why people, like, I see some people who get views on Instagram, get hate, but then they start retaliating and replying to the comments, and I'm like, you're just ruining your brand. You're replying to these idiots with like hate, and like you're looking like the smaller person. You're actually bringing yourself down to their
hate
level
is the
by
fuel.
retaliating.
It's the fuel to your personal brand. That's people forget this. This is what fuels you. And every successful person has been bullied. He's got hate. He's got a trauma behind him. Something has happened to fuel. Something negative has happened to fuel the success. So why, when you go on social media, you expect zero hate? If everything you have done in your life to become successful so far has been fueled with some sort of negative emotion, how do you expect social media to be any different? And if you are a real estate agent and it took you 6 months to close your first ever deal, how do you expect social media to get it in 1 week? Right? It is same concepts, copy and paste. If you expect to be a good agent, you need knowledge. If you expect to be good in content, you need consistency. It is not a new concept.
There's definitely, like, if I was to put like, not a time frame, but let's say a blueprint to an agent's success. If I was to start again from day one. So this is day one. Okay. People think on day one, oh, I should start social media.
Hell no.
I fell into that trap as well. Let me show you a couple of videos. I even laugh at like the suit I was wearing. Like, what was I actually thinking? They're not loading.
But
I'm not even going to show them because that suit is horrendous. So let's stay away from them. Look at that. What is my hair as well? What's going on there? Of one of my clients' newest purchases. He bought this one at 2.75.
Did he actually?
From a resale market in Arabian Ranches 3. So
this
property is now mortgageable, fully complete. Why do I look like that?
Bro. But there is a saying. If you don't watch your videos from about 6 months ago, and don't cringe out, then you're doing something wrong. You have to cringe out from your old videos.
Well, we're talking, these are 2022 videos.
So that's like...
These are 3 years ago. These are very old. That's day one. And I tried to start social media, didn't do so well. Anyway, day one. If I was to put a timeline together for an agent for their success, and we're talking like, here is 1 mil broker. 1 mil broker is attainable, you know, it's 100k a month. So day one to becoming a 1 million dirham broker, if I was to put a timeline together. First, knowledge. Okay? Knowledge builds confidence. I don't know if you can read that. Knowledge, confidence, Without knowledge, you won't have the confidence. From here to here, you're going to be cold calling. You're going to be getting knocked back. You're going to be getting told no. It's going to be hard. You're going to learn from your mistakes. You're going to learn from your no's. So learning your product, study it well. The better your knowledge, the better your confidence. You can then stand on the phone. You can say on the phone, look, I've done X, Y, and Z. You know, this is. If you're talking about a specific type, you know the view, you know what it's facing, you know the layout. The client's going to buy into you a lot more. Okay.
Next one.
After calling, confidence is sales. Right? So you start getting a track record. From here to here, you're building your track record. So you start building a track record. Now you've got knowledge, now you've got confidence, now you've got sales. Now you can start social media. From here to here, you're going to feel like you're trading a lot of time. From maybe putting in a few hours a week into social media and not getting much return. You know what I mean? So you're almost trading time for
future,
pretty much. whilst remaining consistent with sales.
Yeah.
You know, so your sales are not coming from social media. Your sales are still happening from your cold calls.
And you're using your sales to fund your social media.
Exactly. So that's coming to that. So now you've got a bit of money behind you.
Yeah.
Too many people think that they come here with $10,000 or $20,000, yeah?
Yeah.
And then they go and put 10K into social media.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, they're skint.
The money's done. The money's done. I'll tell you something very funny. When I sit with somebody in a meeting, and I find that there is a clash when I talk about pricing.
Yeah.
Where I sense that there's a struggle of if I do it, I'm going all in. My immediate reaction is, look, if you're gonna put the money in and you're going to be struggling or you're gonna be chasing yourself, do not do it. It's simple as that. Do not do it, because that is not the right time to be. That means you're still here or still here. That is not the right time to go on social media, because neither me nor you nor anybody can predict when the thing will hit. Maybe it's gonna be 2 months in. Some people have. Maybe it's 7 months in. Maybe it's 10 months in. Maybe it's 14 months in, 18 months, maybe 20 months.
Yep.
You don't know. So you need to make sure that you have a machine that is generating you money, and obviously using that to then build your social media brand. Now, social media, the beauty of it is guaranteed to work as long as you do not stop. But its hardship is you do not know when it is gonna work.
That's it.
That is a tricky part. But yeah, then after social media, you build your brand.
Then
You've
social
built your
media. So here is the transition from content creator to personal brand. And a lot of people don't understand the difference.
Yeah.
Between a content creator and a personal brand. Content creator is somebody who posts videos, advertising projects, or just talking about deals, or I started as a content creator.
Yeah.
Personal brand is when you can put up a story and it sells in 24 hours.
Yeah.
And people buy into you because they've been watching you for 2 years.
Yeah. And here's the beauty of it. How a personal brand is built is by taking what you're doing as a content creator, right? Making it a theme, so giving it a theme, right? Giving it a specific style, right? And repeating that for a long period of time.
Yep. So then people recognize the patterns.
Exactly. So
they know what's coming.
It's a bit by bit. And the example I always give is how governments convince people of certain things. They don't go up online and tell it to you once. They say it over the course of tens of years.
Yeah. I was speaking to a friend the other day. Yeah. Same friend who wanted to start content,
Yeah.
And we were talking about lead management. And I feel very overwhelmed at the moment with the amount of leads that I'm getting and trying to offset them in employee assistance and all stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows in real estate that the key to closing clients is follow-ups.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah.
We know that clients ghost. We know that clients will view a property and not offer unless you follow up. We know that clients will offer but may not get the price that they want unless you follow up. We know that clients will be in the market and then go to another agent unless you follow up. Yeah. What happens when you're dealing with 50 clients? How on earth are you meant to follow up with all of them? It's impossible. What happens when your follow-ups become?
This is what we call centralizing following.
Every day, your client's watching you and they'll go, I was meant to get back to Aidan.
Yeah. You're centralizing your follow-ups. You're bringing all of them into one area, which is your social media, and you're posting a video. And now all of them
That's it.
are being talked to.
And then from brand, leading on from personal brand,
Yeah.
leads into YouTube.
Oh, yeah, bro, you can expand for like 50 million years from there. But I'll tell you the story of how coffee entered Japan.
Yep, go on.
Okay. I'm sure you know Japan is very famous for tea.
Oh, it is, of course it is, yeah.
Japanese tea. Okay. So the Japanese people really highly value tea.
Yeah.
They don't want coffee.
Yeah.
No coffee.
Yeah.
Right? Nes Cafe wanted to enter the market with their coffee, and they went and said, hey, we're going to sell you the coffee. Everybody said, no, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Right? So what did they do? They went to a branding expert and they told him, hey, we want to enter the Japanese market. It's a giant market. We're sure we can make a bunch of money in that market. So what happened? The guy came and said, okay, we'll do that. But just so you know, you're not going to see it happen. Your kids will. And they were bamboozled, right? So what they did was the following, and it's absolute genius branding. And this is what I love. So what they did is this. They made a cartoon, right? They went in and they created a Japanese cartoon.
Yeah.
All right. Japan. And then they obviously just marketed the cartoon over and over and over again. And all of that time they were losing money because they were spending a lot of money on advertising, making the cartoon, all of this, right? For like 15 years, they've been doing that, right? So what ended up happening is that cartoon became extremely famous.
Okay.
Right? And the main character in there became a brand.
Okay.
Right? The main character became a brand. Main character. Everybody loved him. Let's imagine like in America, Superman or Iron Man or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Big brand. Then they now have, we've been doing this for 15 years. The kids we're watching since they were 2 years old, 3 years old, and they're probably now like 17, 18, whatever. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start putting a candy. We're gonna start releasing a candy with the face of the main character. And that candy, listen to this, will be with the taste of coffee.
Right.
So now we've made a candy. They've made a little candy with coffee aftertaste. So it's coffee, I don't know. Right? But they've made candy with coffee. So those kids are now teenagers, they're eating the candy, loving it.
Yeah.
A couple years later, those kids are now 22, 23, whatever, right? They now come in and they say, oh yeah, remember when you were a little kid watching that cartoon that you really loved, which then had a main character, and that main character had a candy that you kept eating for your entire teenage years? Yeah, well, that candy, we now made a drink, and it's called coffee. Try it out. Every single one of them went there for nostalgia. And because of that, coffee entered the Japanese market.
That is crazy that they forecasted
Right.
all of that. Like way. They were like, how do we break into a market that is so consumed by one product?
Yeah. 20
Do you know what I think
30 years.
What that is as well though? Like smells and tastes.
Yes.
Smells
It's
and
a
tastes, like it takes you. Have you ever smelled something and it takes you instantly
Takes you
back to when you were a kid?
Nostalgia. It's nostalgia.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is based on a cartoon character that's built a brand, stayed on people's mind, and then gave a nostalgic effect.
That is crazy.
Which is also the same effect every single movie on planet Earth uses. Mission Impossible was just released and it's the best Mission Impossible in terms of money coming in. And the only reason being is because of the nostalgia effect of all the other 7 made combined.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't make one Mission Impossible movie and expect it to make the same amount of money that the latest one made.
Yeah, of course.
Because you still don't have a brand. And then agents come in, say, oh, we're going to make 2 videos and we're going to close deals. Or, we've been doing it for 2 months and we still, it's not how it works. But yeah, any last closing remarks?
No, I like that. I like that, the way you closed that. It's nice.
All right. Sweet. Well, I appreciate it, bro.
Appreciate it. Good stuff.
All right. If anybody's looking for your coaching program up until you get it released, just DM you on Instagram.
Yeah, definitely. But don't come to me if you've got a buyer that's not qualified.
And don't come to me if you want to make videos and close a deal within 2 days. Sweet, bro.
Go
Lovely.
on. See you in a bit.
Done.